Hello everyone, how's everything going? Are you doing great? Alhamdulillah, glad to hear that. I'm doing great myself, Alhamdulillah, and I'm super excited to be able to be with you today. Today we're gonna take story Oliver Twist, chapter 6, The Robbery. What is the meaning of the word robbery? Robbery means stealing something of value from someone. And as you know in chapter 5, when Fagin went to visit Bill Sykes, and as you know, Fagin and Bill Sykes were thieves, those two men sat down and began to talk about a house they wanted to rob. They wanted to rob a house. They wanted to steal something of value from this house. But they can't get into the house. Why? Because there is only one window, one small window without bars. And of course, it's too small for a man to get through this window. So they thought of, they thought of Oliver. Why? Because Oliver was very small, thin boy. So Bill Sykes pushed Oliver and held the pistol to Oliver's head. Well, if you speak one word while we're out, this bullet is for you. Understand? Yes, sir. So Oliver was afraid of Bill Sykes. In this chapter, we will see how they will rob the house. So, the next day was wet and cold. Oliver and Bill Sykes got up early and traveled all day. Oliver and Bill Sykes arrived at a lonely ruined cottage in the country. Look at picture number 1. The first picture. It is an old house called cottage in the country, where Bill's friend Toby Crackit was waiting for them. He had long red hair and thin legs. He wore a lot of big rings on his dirty fingers. As you see in the picture. So they arrived at an old house and they met the friend of Bill Sykes. His name is Toby Crackit. As you see in the picture, this man had long red hair and thin legs, and he wore a lot of big rings on his dirty fingers. The two men went out and took Oliver with them. He tried to run away, but they held his hands tightly. He tried to escape because he didn't want to be a thief. So Bill said, "Be quiet. Remember the pistol, my boy." Do you remember the pistol? It was cold and foggy as they were walking through the streets. Finally, they stopped outside a house with a big wall round it. They climbed over the wall and walked silently to the back of the house, where they found one very small window open. At this moment, Oliver realized that the thieves wanted him to rob the house. So they said to Oliver, "Oliver, we are going to lift you in there." And so Oliver realized that the thieves wanted him to rob the house, wanted him to steal something of value from this house. He fell down on his knees. "Please, sir, I can't help you steal. Please let me go." But Bill pulled out the pistol, but Toby stopped him. They told him, "When you get inside, go and open the front door for us." But Oliver didn't want to be a thief, as you know. A man appeared at the open storeroom door, holding a gun. There was a bang and a flash of light. Oliver felt a pain in his arm and fell back. Bill grabbed him and pulled him through the window. Oliver's arm was covered in blood. "They have shot him." Toby Crackit was already running away towards some trees. Bill followed, carrying Oliver. They reached the trees and saw men with guns and dogs, ho, 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 running out of the house towards them. They dropped Oliver and the two thieves disappeared in the darkness. So they escaped and dropped Oliver. Oliver lay under the tree without moving, and his clothes turned red with blood. The bitter cold woke Oliver up early in the morning. He opened his eyes with a cry of pain. His arm hurt badly. In the distance, he could see a big house, and he decided to ask for help there. He knocked on the door, then fainted on the doorstep because he was so tired, as you see in the picture. Mr. Giles and brothers, the servants of the house. So Mr. Giles and brothers were the servants of the house. Opened the door, but instead of the dangerous robber they were expecting, they saw only a little boy covered in blood. Covered in blood. They picked him, they took him into the house. Giles carried Oliver to an empty bedroom. Very soon Dr. Losburn arrived, and the servants ran up and down the stairs with hot water and bandages. Dr. Losburn came downstairs to speak to the two ladies of the house. Yeah, look at these two ladies. They are called Mrs. Molly and Rose. Mrs. Molly was an old lady, as you see. Rose was a young girl of 17. She was also an orphan. What is the meaning of the word orphan? Orphan means, she didn't have parents. She didn't have mom or dad. Just like Oliver. And Mrs. Molly took her in when she was a young child. Mrs. Molly. The two ladies gasped in surprise when they saw Oliver asleep in the bed. What is this? Surely such a small child can't be a thief, cried Mrs. Molly. They didn't believe he was a bad boy, so they decided to take care of him. Now, let's answer this exercise together. Answer the following questions. Number 1, where did Oliver and Bill arrive? Yeah, great. They arrived at a lonely, ruined cottage in the country where Bill's friend Toby Cricket was waiting for them. Number 2, what happened to Oliver when he knew that he wanted him to be a thief? Yeah, he fell down on his knees. He said, I can't help you steal. Please let me go. Again, he fell down on his knees. He said, I can't help you steal. Please let me go. But Bill pulled out the pistol and Toby stopped him. Number 3, what did Oliver decide to do as soon as he was in the house? Yeah, he decided to shout for help as soon as he was in the house, and he didn't want to be a thief. Number 4, what did Bill do with Oliver when he saw men with guns and dogs running towards them? Yeah, Bill dropped Oliver under a tree and ran away. Number 5, what did the servants see when they opened the door? They saw Oliver, the little boy covered in blood, lying on the doorstep. Question number 6, who were the ladies of the house? Mrs. Molly and Rose. Mrs. Molly was an old lady, and Rose was a young girl of 17. She was also an orphan, just like Oliver. And Mrs. Molly took her in when she was a young child. The last question, what did Rose ask Mrs. Molly to do with Oliver? Rose asked me to let Oliver stay here and then can take care of him. Great, my dears. So this is the end of our chapter. See you again next chapter, inshallah. Goodbye.